The ability to create flexibility to pay is very important, but let me tell you something. People will not pay if they don't know what they're paying. Hello, Timmy Nafso here, talking to you about platform service fees. Platform service fees, this has become something that historically was an issue to bill, because a lot of us know that have used software in the past, as well as used software providers that created software. At one point in time, you would charge for the software ahead of time, and then you would charge maybe for a block of time to service that customer or client. As an example, if it was a restaurant software, you might charge for 10 hours of time, and every time they call in, you go ahead and service that customer, that restaurant owner. Now, with the power of the cloud, recurring billing, and other features, what we've been able to provide software providers is a dynamic way to accept payments. Now, the amount of dollars that go into putting a software in your business has declined significantly for this revenue recurring model. And these software fees now also, and fees to the consumer, have become much more popular. For those of us that have worked out at a gym, we understand that to be the case as well. At one point in time, we used to get charged three years in advance, or 5 years in advance, or 1 year in advance. Now it's a monthly membership fee. It wasn't that they didn't want to charge monthly, which is very hard to collect on a monthly basis. So the more you could get ahead of time, the better. Because of chargeback reasons and membership with the card brands, that began to become a protection thing for consumers. That, hey, look, we need to protect these consumers, so we can't charge too far in advance, because what if the business goes under? And during that time, how do you get that money back to the consumer? So these monthly platform service fees have become a very popular option for the industry. We've even seen more recently Ticketmaster, as an example, move on an all-in-one pricing experience. This is very interesting. All-in-one pricing experience. What are the consumers, or even businesses, really striving for? They want to know what they're getting for what they pay. We've seen companies like Tesla, as an example, follow a very similar model where they say you're ordering a car similar to as if you are ordering a meal. You know exactly what you're going to pay. You see all of your fees. Adding features is like a menu option, and you check out. That feels a lot better to the consumer than having to negotiate, especially when you have pretty much 90% of the population that has no art of negotiation at all, nor have they ever negotiated anything in their past. So it doesn't feel good to walk away and find out that your friend paid a whole lot less than you did. So this platform service fee concept, to try to not only display the truth, what are you actually paying? We see this in hospitality now, a big push towards these resorts not charging astronomical resort fees, unexpected resort fees. We've even seen it more recently where a lot of folks, due to what has happened with remote scenarios of post-COVID, they're saying, hey, there are these fees that are popping up that we've never seen before, and they're being attributed to COVID and what has happened with COVID. The consumer wants transparency. The consumer is also a business owner in a different part of their life, and they want transparency. How do you offer that through your software? It's extremely important to offer this type of transparency. So managing on the correct type of platform is what helps us get there. This is a very important part of this. What does a platform need to do? What does your platform need to do? How does it need to partner in order to provide merchants, businesses, and then downstream consumers the ability to have these service fees be displayed, but also be upfront and transparent with these fees? With that being said, there are a few products that exist that we have really spent time and energy developing, and those products help software companies downstream all the way to the consumers have a better experience. One of those might be Quick Invoice, as we like to call it, which is an invoice light that allows you to quickly generate an invoice and send it to the consumer so they fully understand everything that's happening. The vehicle in which you send it allows for a link to pay, which is another feature that has been developed. And we see this throughout the market start to become much more popular, that now you could pay via text message. Now you could pay via email. You could pay via social channels. Like, the ability to create flexibility to pay is very important. But let me tell you something, people will not pay if they don't know what they're paying. So making sure that invoice is correct, making sure we're displaying from a transparency perspective, everything that's happening is very important. People love value meals at their local fast food restaurant for a reason. The a la carte, they don't fully understand what the total amount is going to be. And that is what we're dealing with from a population perspective as well. Finally, the ability for your software to take that payment and, similar to a marketplace experience, say, I'm going to split the payment. I'm going to split a payment and hold a particular amount. Retaining the amount or splitting the payment is another valuable asset in making sure that we can streamline this process of platform fees and consolidation. All of these features, whether it be the retained amount split payment, the quick invoice generator, and the ability to send that off through a link to pay, creates quicker receivable capabilities, creates clarity, and allows a software to do things it didn't do 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. If you're not doing these things, it's time to really start looking into it. If your software, if folks you're working with don't understand what's capable, it's important to do some research and start leveraging 2023 and beyond. So as we discuss these features and products and how they affect the market, we wanted to bring in an expert, Kevin Shamoun, SVP of Product and Innovation at Fortis. Welcome, Kevin. Thank you. Glad you're here with us.
Thanks for having me, Timmy.
Kevin, a couple questions that we want to kind of dig into here. In your words, from your perspective, what is this feature that some call retained amount, others call split funding, others may call it split deposits or split payments, secondary amount? We've heard a lot of different terms. What does that mean to you, and why is it important?
Retained amount is the ability for a software company to dictate an amount from a single transaction that's going to be withheld from the merchant's deposit. And the use cases there's plenty of them. The most notable is gives the ability for the software company to collect some SaaS fees in line with transaction processing. So if an ISV or a software company wants to withhold a couple percentage points from a transaction standpoint, they have that ability by using the retained amount field. We can use it for things like a percent of the transaction goes to maybe a good cause from a donation standpoint. The other use case would be around like a roundup situation to be able to use those pennies from a deposit standpoint on a transaction to retain that as well.
Great. And why did Fortis actually develop that technology? Was it for a particular use case, or was it something that you believe is table stakes for the future?
So Fortis is customer driven. From a product standpoint, we like to listen to our customers and develop the things that they're asking for. From an innovation standpoint, we try to get ahead of the curve. We like to be leading edge. In this scenario, from a retained amount, it's really just providing some flexibility for software companies to be able to give them another way to collect fees or to do something a little more creative in some instances.
And what was involved in launching that technology? We all know that launching product and features is not an easy thing to do as we layer on top of technology. But what was involved in that, and what can somebody expect when building something like this out?
When developers want to leverage this, it's as simple as just letting the developer support team know that they want to add this functionality and feature set, and the team will give them all the requirements, which is just a few, to be able to actually take this to APIs and embed them within their platform. It's a pretty simple process for any developer to do from an implementation standpoint. We have SDKs available, we have different Postman collections, etc., that developers really find handy to be able to implement this technology. So it really is a pretty simple and seamless process should a software company or developer look to want to integrate and implement retained amount functionality.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. Appreciate you being here today.
Thanks, Timmy. It's been great.
Thanks, Timmy and Kevin, for a great interview. And we learned a little bit more about how Fortis is pioneering and innovating for the future. So next, let's see a demonstration of what it's like to use our Fortis platform using Quick Invoice and PayLink. Check it out.
Quick Invoice is accessible both from the Quick Launch button on the dashboard and the left-hand side menu. I'll use the Quick Launch button to access it. Here, it takes me to an Add Quick Invoice page. This is where I can create a quick invoice for a customer. Location tells me the location profile for the customer I am making this for. I can select the payment options for CC Deposit Account and ACH Deposit Account from my merchant profile. If I don't want to offer one of these options to the customer, I can select none. For this example, I'll choose both. I can link a quick invoice to a contact, which allows the contact to make payments for multiple invoices from the same payments page. So if a contact has 3 invoices due, they can view all 3 and pay for one or more, partially or in full. We will add the contact. Next, I'll give the quick invoice a title, which will appear on the invoice and reporting. The invoice number will be automatically generated. I'll set the due date for tomorrow, but I'll also set the expiry date to the end of the month to allow a grace period for payment after the due date. We'll enter the customer's email address. To bill the total amount due, I'll add line items, such as one item for $2 and another item for $3. I can also apply discounts if necessary. For example, we'll add a $1 discount for this case. The additional settings allow me to set notification preferences. I'll set the notification of the due date to 0, since I'm sending it today. The notification of the expired date will be 7 days. I'll allow partial payment and set a minimum payment of $2. For this payment, I'm not going to allow overpayment. The bank funded only option is industry specific, and I'll leave it as follow deposit account setting. Optionally, I can add a 200-character note to provide additional information about the transaction. Lastly, I'll assign a unique Quick Invoice API ID to prevent duplicates and enable future reference for this invoice. After saving the Quick Invoice, it shows Quick Invoice saved successfully, and I can see it on my location with the due and expiry dates, amount due, and remaining balance. Next, let's look at the Quick Invoice email notification. It lists the merchant's location name and will also be included in the email body. It includes the invoice number, due date, total amount due, and the payment link. The note I added is also part of the email. I'll open up the payment link to view the quick invoices. As a contact, I see 3 quick invoices, including the one I just created. It shows the invoice number, due date, total amount, and balance. I can view line items by clicking View and see payment options for both CC and ACH. I can select all 3 invoices and click Pay to proceed. On the payment page, I can choose to pay with a card or ACH and enter in my details. Partial payments are allowed for 2 invoices, but the third requires full payment. After paying, I can see the payment status for each invoice. Returning to Quick Invoices, I can see the status has changed for each invoice, reflecting the payments made. Additionally, as a merchant on the location, I can view the transactions and see the detailed information of each payment. To access PayLink, you can either click the Quick Launch button on the dashboard or the menu option on the left-hand side of the portal. To create a PayLink, I have 2 transaction types to choose from. Sale, which is a single-step transaction, and Auth Only, which authorizes the transaction but requires settlement later, either through this portal or via API. For the CC Deposit account, I only have one option, and the same applies for ACH. If I want to offer both options to customers, I select both deposit accounts. The description is used by the merchant to identify the payment purpose and is shown to the customer. I'll use invoice 1234 as the description, but merchants can customize this. The amount due will be $10. The expiry date sets the validity of the PayLink. I'll set it to the end of the month. I can link the PayLink to a contact on my location and add the contact. The delivery method allows for email and/or text message. I'll choose email and enter the customer's email address. The Show Billing Fields tick box is selected by default, requiring the customer to enter their billing, street, and zip for added security. The Store Account Vault option will tokenize the customer's bank or card details for future use, such as recurring billing or additional payments. I can give the token a name for reference in the Account Vaults page. The Paylink API ID is a unique reference that prevents duplicates and aids in querying the status of a Paylink in an integration. After saving, the Paylink is created. The customer receives an email with the Paylink details, including the merchant name, link expiration date, amount due, and description. The link in the email directs the customer to the payments page. I choose to pay with a test card and click Pay. A confirmation screen shows the successful transaction details, including payment date, transaction type, confirmation number, card details, and amount paid. When I return to the Paylink page and refresh, invoice 1234 shows as paid. Drilling down, I can view the payment details and transaction information on my location.
Now brings us to Fortis in the Field. First up on our list of trade shows for August is Retail Now, the retail IT channel's premier trade show, education conference, and networking event. This year, Retail Now will be held in the vibrant city of Orlando, Florida from July 30th to August 1st. Fortis is excited to announce its presence at this event, where we will showcase our state-of-the-art embedded payment solutions that strengthen the payment capabilities of software partners. By offering embedded payment solutions, Fortis maximizes and creates new opportunities for businesses. To meet our team and experience our innovative solutions, please make sure to visit our booth number 212 at Retail Now. Fortis is also proud to be the premier hole sponsor at the AHOA Golf Tournaments. As the leader in embedded payment solutions for businesses in the lodging industry, Fortis provides seamless integration into property management systems, helping hotel owners lower costs, prevent chargebacks, and accept payments securely. Our all-in-one platform, combined with our industry expertise and user-friendly technology, equips the AHOA members with the essential tools they need to run their hotels successfully. So mark your calendars for the 2023 AHOA Northwest Region Charity Golf Tournament on August 14th, taking place at the Reserve Vineyard and Golf Club. Additionally, don't miss the 2023 AHOA North Carolina Region Charity Golf Tournament on August 26th and 27th at the Rocky River Golf Club.
Some of the key takeaways that we're going to want to focus on here include the future of payments as we see it today. We are living in the future. Involves transparency, involves a software having the capability to be flexible based on the various needs of business and the consumers and the habits of those consumers as they continue to evolve. If we were to look back 10 years ago, the way we interacted with our cellular devices, our mobile devices has changed tremendously over time. Similarly, our software needs to change, as does our interaction with that software. Many of us remember, and some businesses are still doing this, especially in healthcare, waiting for an invoice to come in based on insurance payments versus cash payments, and it's $4.34 that's owed in the mail. Sometimes the amount is under $1. It wasn't even worth the stamp that was sent. So, being more strategic in how these payments are requested is extremely important. A quick invoice, the ability to generate an invoice on the spot, super important. A vehicle in order to send that invoice for a quick payment, removing the number of clicks, as we like to call them, or actions by a consumer, a customer, a patient, etc. Super important. And finally, this idea of being able to split up funding so we can retain an amount and distribute as we see fit, extremely important to a platform. All of these various ways that a platform becomes strengthened through payments is how the future of a software can be future-proofed. Many more features to come. Thanks for listening. Timmy Naxo.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Hi, Mom.
Yep. Nope, that was a good story. That one was a good story.